What's up everybody, hope you're having an amazing day. In today's video we're going to take a look at Getgood Drums Studio Cabs Cali Oversized plugin. Let's roll that full mix and let's get some metal blasted. What's up everybody, I hope you're having an amazing day. I'm your host Phil and thank you very much for tuning in. Before we start off into looking at the GGD Studio Cabs Cali Oversized from Getgood Drums, I want to say a huge thank you for supporting my channel through buying Celestion impulse responses through the affiliate link, which I always post in the video description below. Through that, you supported me enough that I could purchase this plugin, and I'm super grateful for that because that basically sparked an entire new inspiration to creating new videos. I got a ton of cool ideas and I was a little bit lazy, but I'm now back on track hopefully, and we're gonna get some cool videos out there. So, what is it all about? Getgood Drums. Getgood Drums is Adam Nolly Getgood's software company. They're creating some cool music production software, mainly drum libraries such as the One Kit Wonder, Metal, I think there's Invasion, there's like a few other things like Architects now came out recently, some other cool stuff, and they're also venturing a little bit into the impulse response suites, so they're not creating impulse responses themselves, but they're basically packing that into a plugin format, which you then can, you know, nicely use, you know, like nice twiddly knobs which you can move around and so on and so forth. You already heard what it sounded like in a mix. You already heard a little bit while I was playing a little bit around. Let me show you my signal chain. I got the STL Ignite Amphub turned on with the Eddy 5153 amplifier, boosted by the 4-bit 66, which is basically a 33 emulation from Fortin. And I got the cabinet section turned off, and instead I'm using GGD Studio Cabs Cali. So what do we got over here? Let's first talk about the menu before we then look a little bit into the different sounds. We have over here 8 slots first off, and in these slots we can click on them and then we see the different cabinets which we actually have. You know, we got an upfront, a massive, smooth, thick, guttural, detailed. All of them sound a little bit differently. We will venture a little bit into that one. Not sure if I'm going to show all of these combinations, but I'm going to show you certainly a few of them. So you can also use this over here. Through the user menu, you are loading your custom impulse responses from maybe another vendor, for example, Bogren Digital or Celestion. You can just simply load them into this basically fancy IR loader over here and kind of blend them together with the cabinets. Over here we got the microphone section, And yeah, we got 8 different choices, and we got 2 spare spots. I think that's for future updates or something, if there might be maybe an expansion pack or something in that sort. I'm not sure yet what they're planning on doing, what I'm doing with that spare space, but it's there. The Cabs Cali Oversized, what is it all about in regards of what is the very special thing about this plugin? Adam Nolly Getgood is basically obsessed with vintage 30s, and he has like a very cool interview with Christian Kohle from Kohle Studios, where he's talking a lot about the differences and the nuances which the different V30s out of different eras have. And I think either that was already kind of a PR preparation thing, because he had this in the pipeline, or based on these conversations and the interest which has been sparked out of these interviews, he went ahead and he basically took a Mesa oversized cabinet, and he placed the different V30s in there and made impulse responses out of them. A ton of them, and that's what you're getting over here. You can blend them, you can tweak them, and so on and so forth. Let's move on with the menu structure. So we can choose here the cabinet, we can choose here the microphone setup, here we can mute, solo or phase flip the single channel strip, here we can set the pan for the single channel strip, the volume over here through the fader, and then we got a dark bright knob which basically just emphasizes certain frequencies or takes a little bit of the highs away. Over here we got input output, nothing special. We got the master EQ, not so sure yet what that actually does. I could not hear that much of a difference. Let's see if we can find out together. But it's supposed to kind of enhance the frequencies a little bit, and so on and so forth. Here we got our presets. Over here we can load and save these presets, and we can also export the actual impulse responses, which we set up over here, and then kind of generate an impulse response out of that, which we then can load in a different IR loader, or maybe a hardware IR loader, or Line 6 Helix, or whatever. Yeah? So that is the menu so far. Here we have different sizes, which we can choose from, 2 of them. And of course, I'm going with the bigger size, and let's get going. So this is again how it sounds like. Okay, so kind of another impression on how it sounds when you're just playing around. So I'm just gonna twiddle around with some of the impulses. First, I'm going to the factory default settings so that I only have one single cabinet and one single microphone over here, and we're gonna go through some of the cabinets. Massive sounds like this. Let me switch back to massive because I like that one the most. And we're now looking at the microphones, or we're listening at the microphones. That's how all the different combinations sound like. Hope that kind of gives you already a broad perspective on what you can achieve with this plugin. So for the Friedman, you can see that dark and bright is not really an option over here. The reason for that is that dark and bright kind of has to do with how you angle the microphone, how far you push it away, and the Friedman position is kind of very straightforward, very fixed position in that sense. So let's just take the standard, the SM57, to just show the other features. We got the pan. Nothing special about that. We got a volume fader. By double clicking, you are nulling the volume. And we got the dark and bright. It's not so apparent when I just turn the knobs. Let me play a riff. It will become more apparent, hopefully. Now let's try out the master EQ. That's without the master EQ. There's actually something happening very subtly in the lower mids, I think it is. See if you can spot it. I'm very sorry that I'm always playing the same riff, but I'm doing that so that you guys got a good reference. If that annoys you, please let me know in the comments so I can adapt to that one. I really like demos where they always play the same stuff. That's why I do it as well. So yeah, there's something going on with the lower mids. Definitely, I can hear that one. Is it like super effective? No. Is it supposed to be super effective? I also think no. It's supposed to be a subtle enhancement to just give it a little bit more of that fatness over there. We also have a ton of different factory presets, which sound really good from Misha Mansour and from Nolly himself. Let's just go with a few out of them. So first, bread and butter. It's a very standard generic setup. And you can also create, of course, your own presets, and you can save them. I got two of them. One's minimalism, kind of a little bit of adaptation of bread and butter from Misha Mansour, and stings the nostrils a bit less is basically this one over here from Nolly, but a little bit with tamed high frequencies. Let's go with the minimalism. That's my go-to preset right now. So there's that. That's my preset. You can also go over here, as I said before, and you can use your own impulse responses. So when you click over here and then go to user, it opens basically a file explorer, and I'm now going to my Celestion impulse responses, and I'm taking a greenback for this test, and I'm going with the Shure SM57 and the fat setting. So I now loaded this. One thing which I personally would criticize is that unless you hover the mouse, you're not seeing what impulse response it is. That's a little bit annoying because you always have to check, okay, which impulse is it? Okay, it's that one. Then you can just adjust it accordingly. Is it a big problem? No. Is there room for improvement? I bet there is. Okay, but here is what it sounds like soloed. And now all together. I find that they blend really good together. Of course, maybe that IR is not the best one, you know, not matching that well with what I set up over here. But in theory, there's not too much of a phase cancellation going on. I could highly imagine that they have used the MPT, the minimum phase transform, for creating these impulse responses. What that is and how to create impulse responses, I got a video on that one as well. So be sure to check it out. Maybe I'll post it somewhere over here or link it somewhere. Yeah, but that is one of the cool features over here from this particular plugin. What is also very cool is I will first now go ahead and I will try to delete this one. How can I delete this one? You cannot apparently delete it, or I'm too stupid for that one. Oh, clear. Yeah, you could just press on clear. Easy as pie. You just have to know it. Ah, this is a small bug. Okay. It still shows the name over here. Small bug, which I found. Okay. Not that much of a worry. So, let me solo this. Nothing comes out, so we're good to go. Okay, let me turn off the master EQ. Now, what is cool about this plugin as well is once you found a combination which suits you very well, let's say minimalism is my perfect go-to, then I can export this. And let me just export this as a 500 millisecond IR. And I'm going to export this in my folder where I put my own impulse responses over here. So I already created a test. I'll delete that one. And I'll just call this Nolly test mini for minimalism. So there we go. And then I'm gonna load this over here. Oh no, wait a minute. Don't let me load this in there, but I will use NatIR instead. So NatIR is a free impulse response loader, which you can get over there. So, and now I'm going to move over to the impulse response, which I just created. Nolly test mini. I'm going to make sure that I only choose that impulse response. Going to make sure that I'm not making any high or low pass on that one. And yeah, I'm going to deactivate GGD Studio and got now both of them basically chosen. And when I press Control B here on my keyboard, I can toggle between these two plugins in Reaper. So first, the original GGD Studio Cabs Cali. There's a little bit of the detail lost in my personal observation, perception, whatever you want to call it, when I compare the two, but we're getting very, very close. Yeah, so we're not really losing a lot. Maybe that has to do with the wavelength, which I'm setting, or the the length of the wave file. Maybe it's something else. I don't know for sure, but we're getting close enough that I can say very cool feature. We can export the IRs, which we're getting out of GGD Studio Cabs Cali. And that said, that is basically all there is to this particular plugin. I just want to show you very quick how this fares with Fortin Cali, because this is STL Ignite Amphub. You already heard that. But since I know that Nolly works a lot together with Neural DSP, let's try it out with a Neural DSP plugin, shall we? So, got the Fortin Cali set up over here. Also with the grind set up and pushing that amp very hard. I turned off the impulse response section or the cab section, and instead I'm using GGD Studio Cabs. So by now toggling Control B again, I'm shifting between STL Amphub and Fortin Cali. So you already can hear there is a difference, but not too much. The cabinet is definitely the dominant factor when it comes to determining the sound. Of course, there is a difference. Yeah, I can hear that for myself also. But the cabinet is a very dominant factor. Yeah, so now that we have spoken through to all this, for my first conclusion before we proceed with the next chapter or the next thing which I prepared is GGD Studio Cabs Cali has its absolute space in the market. It has its own unique sound. It's definitely a very cool plugin, and I think well worth the $40, which I invested during the Black Friday sales, and they got an oncoming sales still going up to the 2nd of January right now. I'm filming this in the midst of December. So the next chapter is I want to show or I want to quickly compare GGD Studio Cabs Cali against NAD-IR with Cola IRs from Bogren Digital and against Celestion IRs. Yeah, so let's go back to the Amphub because I like that plugin a little bit more than the Cali. And this is again the sound of the GGD Studio Cabs. Let me now toggle this to the NAD-IR Cola IRs. GGD is way louder, and in order to not be fooled by the perception of loudness, I will turn the output a little bit down for GGD. GGD is now a little bit too quiet. Let's put that a little bit up. There we go. And now let's compare the Celestion IRs against the GGD setup. So you can already hear GGD Studio Cabs Cali has its absolute unique sound, which can definitely live up against the other IRs. Are they better? Are they worse? I think there's no wrong or right. Whatever floats your boat. And I personally think that the GGD has its core strength at a very different level. And that's the next thing I want to show you. I got this tube amplifier hooked up with a power soak and with a little bit of a uncabling and recabling. I can easily get my guitar running straight into a booster pedal, which is basically a do-it-yourself clone from the TC Integral amp, which is set to the settings like the 33, like the 1433. That goes straight into the Bugera 6262 over here. putting my headstock away so you can see that. That then in the effects loop goes to the Rocktron Hush just to take out a little bit of noise. Then goes into the power soak, and the power soak has a line out, which I then could, in theory, just plug into the same input like I have my guitar currently in. So let me take my guitar away. I'll do a little bit of recabling, and I'll be right back. So, okay, we're back. It's a little bit hissy, sorry for that, but here's what it sounds like. I'm now running, once again, my guitar straight into the 33, do-it-yourself, then into the Bugera 6262. The Bugera is a resonance modded Bugera 6262, so I added the resonance mod, so it sounds very similar to a 5150. It's kind of indistinguishable when we compared it with my former bandmate's 5150. He had the MK2, and this is also supposed to model the MK2. However, this goes then into the gain channel, to the lead channel, going into the power soak. Power soak goes into the interface. The only thing which is changed on the interface input is the high Z. I took it out because we're now going with line out into a line in. So here's what it sounds like with GGD Studio Cabs Cali activated. Sounds awesome. Now let's compare the GGD Studio Cabs to the Cola IRs. And against the Celestion. Back to GGD. So, and there you have it from a playthrough perspective. My conclusion to this is now the GGD Studio Cabs Cali, as I said before, has its own sound. You gotta like it. I personally love it, absolutely. It sounds absolutely fantastic. What I really like is how it sounds when you hook up a tube amp. I think it sounds way better than the impulse responses, which I just tried out, which don't sound bad by any means, but they don't have that thickness to it. When I play with this tube amp through GGD Studio Cabs Cali, it kind of reminds me of the same feeling like standing in the rehearsal room and getting blasted by my Marshall 4x12 cabinet. That's this kind of impression with so my Marshall cabinet also has the Marshall G12 Vintage, which are the basically the customized vintage 30s for Marshalls. Same like the Mesa Boogie have their own vintage 30 derivatives and so on and so forth. But Nolly knows more about this, and he talks about that very well in depth. No, but back to topic. So you heard it for yourself. There's a huge difference, in my opinion, between how GGD Studio Cabs Cali get that low end, that thickness, that tightness, and how the Cola IRs and the Celestion IRs handle that. So well done on Getgood Drums part over here. And yeah. The last portion is basically another comparison between basically amp simulation and real tube amp, both using the Nolly Getgood. I'm just gonna run the mix which you heard in the beginning. One just has the amp sims on it with the Getgood cabinets, and one has the tube amp, where I just simply replayed the chords. So enjoy that one. Before you get into that comparison, I want to again say a huge thank you to everybody who supported me. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate especially not the money or something, but you guys gave me inspiration to make some cool content out for you. So I'm planning on making a video how you can connect your tube amplifier to your interface with a power soak, just showing you what setup I use and so on and so forth. I'm also thinking about creating a video on soldering a do-it-yourself pedal. Yeah, let me know if you're up to these kind of topics, if you would like to see me explaining a little bit around that one. I really enjoyed making this video for you guys. Hope you learned something out of it. Hope you can extract something out of it for your everyday guitar player use. I highly recommend get this plugin. It's on sale currently up until the 2nd of January. By filming this, yeah, they have like this Christmas sales, Nolly Claus they call it. Very fun video out there on YouTube and social media. Anyhow, thank you very much for supporting me. If you want to support me, hit that like button, subscribe, comment, buy some affiliate link, Celestion Impulse Responses. You're helping me through that, and I'm putting everything which goes through that channel as revenue right into the purchase of other plugins to show you guys over here on this channel. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon in the next video, hopefully, and talk to you then. Bye-bye.